Okay, welcome back to the Are You in the Book podcast. My name is Eric Wilbenaw, the president of the Baseball Bluebook, and today we are joined with the head coach of North Greenville University, Landon Powell. How are you today, sir?
Doing great. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, I appreciate you joining me, and it's always great talking with coaches all over the country. Division II program and national championship winner 2022, as well as co-runner-up right on in 2023. A couple really great years. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Am I wrong?
Yeah, we lost to the team that won the national championship the game before the national
Oh,
championship,
okay.
kind of. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I
hey,
don't know if it's
that,
third or fourth or fifth or what we came in, but we made a good run. We won it in 22, and we got back to the World Series in 23, and just uh, we ended up losing to the team that won it all. So we've had a couple good years.
Hey, that's okay. I take that any day. So before we begin, make sure to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you're watching this on YouTube, also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. We're super excited about having Coach Landon Powell with us. As we do with all of the programs, we start with the coach's journey, and it's always fun to listen to the coach kind of talk about kind of the beginnings and how they got into where they were coaching, and certainly what how they got to where they are today. So, Coach, why don't you go ahead and begin with kind of your story?
All right. Well, I grew up a son of a coach. My dad was a high school football and baseball coach up in Apex, North Carolina. We lived on a horse farm, kind of out in the country outside of Apex. And from a young age, sports were just a big part of life. My dad played some college football and baseball, and then obviously was coaching high school ball. So it was just, it was sports were always on TV. We were always in the yard shooting basketball or throwing football or hitting baseball. It was just a big part of life from a very young age. Um, I was also fortunate as a kid to play with a lot of great players. I played in West Raleigh Little League, which is a very prestigious baseball league up in the Raleigh area. And my Little League teammate was a kid named Josh Hamilton.
Ah.
And, and so Josh and I grew up together playing from when we were 8 years old all the way. We went to rival high schools. We played travel ball and stuff together in the summer. So we grew up playing together our whole lives. He was one of my best friends, and we've hit millions and millions of baseballs on the same field at the same time. And so, Josh obviously went on to be the first draft pick and an AL MVP in the major leagues. It was very cool. We ended up playing against each other in the major leagues as well. We both hit home runs in the same major league game. So there's some really cool stories there that Josh and I have had over the years. But that really playing with him and growing up with him, being his catcher, he's the reason I became a catcher. All of those things really, I think they just solidified my love for the game of baseball at a young age. Playing with an incredible player like him and winning a bunch of Little League state championships and being the son of a coach. All of that stuff just laid a foundation for me that I knew that I wanted to have a life in baseball. I was a good basketball player and a good football player too. But baseball always just had that like special place that I knew that was the sport I was meant to play. Um, so I went to Apex High School in North Carolina. We had a very good team. We won the state championship my junior year, and I left and went to. I graduated early. I skipped my senior year of college, and I went on to the University of South Carolina. Skipped my senior year of high school, and went on to play college baseball at University of South Carolina. Um, I had a great youth experience, not only playing with Josh, but my high school team being really good and winning the state championship. I also was able to play on the USA national team, the 16 under USA team. And so that was a big deal for my recruiting process and opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me to continue my career. And so, University of South Carolina, the head coach was Ray Tanner, and the assistant coach was Jim Toman. And Coach Tanner and Coach Toman had been mentors of mine my whole life. My dad actually had known them from years before, and when I was a little kid growing up in Raleigh, my dad would take me over there to NC State, and I'd bat boy as a 7, 8 year old kid in the dugout. So I kind of, I would do that, 4 or 5 games a month, probably at least. And so I really fell in love with NC State baseball, but also those coaches, and it made me really want to play college baseball one day. Just growing up in a dugout you can imagine being a 7 or 8 year old kid and a bunch of 21-year-old college baseball players. They were my idols. I wanted to be just like them. So when it came time for me to make a decision to play in college, Coach Tanner and Coach Toman at South Carolina were the guys I wanted to play for. And to be honest, it didn't matter where they were coaching. They could have been at North Greenville University. They could have been at NC State or at you name it. I probably was just going to go play for them wherever they were. And they happened to be at the University of South Carolina. And so that's where I chose to go play my college ball. And couldn't have been a better decision. Not only were the coaches a great fit for me, but the university was a great fit. And I had an incredible experience there. So I played for 4 years at South Carolina. I was a switch hitting catcher. We won the SEC championship a couple times and went to the College World Series 3 years in a row. We never won the national championship. We lost to Texas my sophomore year in the national championship game, 12-6, I think was the final score. And then my junior year, we lost to Stanford in the game before the national championship. And then my senior year, we lost to Cal State Fullerton in the game before the national championship. So we came in second, third, and third in 3 consecutive years. But I had a great college experience. It's hard to look back and complain about anything that I was able to accomplish or be a part of. I played with great teammates and coaches. And also, I got to play on the USA team again in college, the collegiate national team. That was a big deal. So I look back at my college experience and think how lucky I was and how blessed I was to take part in the things I did. And then I was a first-round draft pick by the Oakland A's my senior year and started playing professional baseball with them. And I played from 2004 to 2013. And I had a bunch of injuries. I tore my ACL twice in the minor leagues. I also had I had a liver disease. I had another knee injury. I kind of went through the ringer in the minor leagues with all these roadblocks and speed bumps. And I finally was able to get to the big leagues in 2009. And I played in the big leagues 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then got sent to AAA in 12 and finished my career in 13. So I was never a household name or a major league all-star or anything like that. With all the injuries I had in the minor leagues, it kind of changed my career and it made me into a backup catcher. But I was the backup catcher for the Oakland A's for 3 years. Then I got traded over to the Astros for a year, and then I finished my career with the Mets 1 year. But I can't complain, with the things I went through, knee injuries and liver diseases and all the other things, to still be able to get to the major leagues and have a pretty good little career and to play for 3 or 4 years was a great experience. I like I said, not a household name or an all-star or anything like that in the big leagues, but I had some cool moments. I got to hit some home runs and experience some awesome things. And the highlight of my big league career probably was I got to catch a perfect game in the major leagues.
Nice.
So Dallas Braden threw a perfect game
Yep.
on May 9th, 2010, Mother's Day. And I was the catcher for that game. I called every pitch. And to be in the lineup and experience the 19th perfect game in history, and it's just one of the most rare feats that takes place in the game of baseball, was pretty special and something I'll never forget. And it's definitely the highlight of my career as a player. And so then a couple years later, I retire. I decided to move back to South Carolina. My wife is from here, and this is where she wanted to settle once I was done playing. So we moved to Greenville, South Carolina, which is an incredible town. And I didn't know what was next. I'd been a baseball lifer, kind of. That's what I always thought I wanted to do. But when I retired, I had people trying to get me in the business world. I had another guy wanted me to sell insurance. It was offering me a bunch of money to sell insurance. And, it was kind of that crossroad of like, what do I do? Do I go try to make a ton of money, or do I do what I love every day and do something that I feel like I can pay forward to the next generation? And to me, that was coaching. So I had an opportunity. Furman University called me. They're a local Division I school here in Greenville, and they're not necessarily known for athletics. They're more of an academic school, but they do have some good sports there. And their baseball coach was a guy named Ron Smith, who he had been there 22 or 23 years, and he had a great reputation as a really solid man and very loyal to his players. And so he offered me a job to go there and be the assistant coach at Furman and work with pitchers and catchers and hitters, and I had a lot of responsibilities. So I took it. I decided to go do that and test the waters as a college coach and see if I liked it. And I'll be honest, it was about, I don't know, it was probably about 3 or 4 days in. I had worked with a kid and shown him some things that would help him with his swing, things that he had never heard before. And to me, they were very simple, but to him, they were like groundbreaking. And that was eye opening to me to realize that, like, playing at the big league level and all the things I'd accomplished had equipped me in a way that I didn't realize. I have all this information and knowledge that to me seems very simple, but to a youth player, to a college player, are like really big deals. And it made me realize, like, that's a, I have a responsibility with this information to pay it forward and to help this next generation. And I had a lot of great coaches in my career help me and pour into my life. So I felt obligated to do the same thing. And once I taught this kid something and I went out and watched him put it into practice and have some great results, and then his eyes light up of how awesome it was that just happened and how easy it was for him to make that adjustment. To me, that was like all I needed. It was that solidified my desire to want to be a coach. And, I realized, man, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to try to teach kids just in that scenario and have them have that feeling, and makes me feel like I'm doing something important and helping them. So, really fell in love with coaching very quickly. And I knew I would. My dad was a coach, and my mentors like Tanner and Toman were coaches. So
Yeah.
I knew that I had a little bit of coach in my blood, but I fell in love with it that year. And so I was at Furman that one year, 2014. And at the end of the season, North Greenville University called me, and they were a D2 school here in town. But they also weren't known for athletics. They maybe were known for having bad athletics, actually. It's a Christian school, Bible college. A lot of kids coming here for seminary and things like that. It's like a Liberty University, but on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
It's a private school, but they had never had much success in athletics. Specifically, baseball was not doing well at all. So the year before I got here, they were 8-38, and they were 2-18 in the conference. They were the doormat of the league, kind of. And the facility wasn't great. It was I would say it was a below average. I mean, definitely a below average college facility, but it probably would have been considered a below average high school facility. Had a chain link backstop and only one batting cage and one bullpen mound, and it just was not a very beautiful facility by any stretch of the imagination. But I came on the interview for the job, and they had 3.5 scholarships. That's all they had to spread over the entire roster. So I can't tell you that like it was a dream job or a place that I just felt like, man, I have to take that, and that's going to be a career changer for me. To be honest, going into it, I was a little reluctant. Like, I don't think this is the right spot, and I don't. Is D2 like a bad step down in the level of baseball? Is the facility going to keep me from getting recruits? I mean, I have a lot of doubts, but for whatever reason, when I came on the interview and I was here, I'm a Christian, and my faith's a big part of my life. This school is very much a Christ-centered university, so there was a special feeling I had at this school that I felt like called to come here in some ways, and after the interview, I was just like, you know what? I don't have to move my family. I can live in the same town. I can be a head coach. I can not only teach the game of baseball, but I can include my faith into my job, and that was something that I was excited about. So I took the job, and I had a lot of people tell me I had some people tell me not to take it, advise me not to take it. Even some of my biggest mentors didn't think that it maybe was the right choice of a place to go be a head coach for the first time. But I just for what I just felt called. I just felt like this is what it was. And I also looked at it, I'll tell you this, as a coach, I looked at it as, I thought this program was a clean slate. I thought it was an empty canvas.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to go build something special and do something, like, what a better place to go than somewhere that there was only really one way to go, and that was up. And I had some ideas that I wanted to do differently. I'm not like your old school college baseball coach. I had a great college experience playing for an old school coach, but then I went to professional baseball and played for a bunch of new school coaches, and saw the pro side of things and how a player can be empowered and a player can be given ownership of his career. And there's a lot of intriguing things I learned professionally. And I used to think how come college baseball is not doing the same things professional baseball is doing? Like in college baseball, they really dumb things down and they cookie cut a lot more, and they're not really challenging some of these 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. And then you go to pro ball and you see, they got 17, 18-year-old Latin kids, and they are challenging those guys. They are,
Yeah.
I mean, they are throwing them to the wolves and really challenging them. And I used to think, well, I mean, these college kids can handle the same stuff. Like, why are we not challenging the college kid the same way we are these guys in pro ball? And I really felt like if I ever got a chance to coach college baseball, that I was going to do it a little differently. I was going to try to marry those two worlds and be very developmental, very hands-on, really detail-focused on the little parts of the game, but also give a lot of ownership and freedom to my players and try to teach them that they have to want to get better. They have to want to put the time in. Like we're not here to hold your hand or
Right.
to drag you along. You got to want to do it yourself. And so there were some really cool things there that I thought coming in, and North Greenville seemed like the perfect place to experiment with all that stuff. If I was gonna come in and do something differently and change the way college coaching is done a little bit, why not do it at a place that it was an empty canvas? And so I took the job at North Greenville. That was in 2015, and we were picked to finish dead last in the conference going into the season. And which understandably, the year before they were 2-18 in the conference. So we were picked to finish 10th out of 10 teams in the conference, and we went out the first year and we won the conference championship the first year. So that was just an amazing experience, like just a complete 180. It was so fun, and maybe with all the things that have been accomplished since then, it's hard for me still to not say that is my favorite team, because it was just a bunch of kids that had been beat up and abused and told they were no good, had no success or enjoyment in their programs, so in their careers so far, and then all of a sudden they go win the championship and get to go to a regional. It was awesome to see those kids and their parents and how much it meant to them. And all it was is we just changed the culture and got them to believe in themselves, and we got hot at the right time. I mean, that's how baseball works. But um, it was a really fun year. But that year, 2015, really injected the lifeblood into the program and really turned some things around, and people started paying attention to what we were doing here at North Greenville. More recruits were interested, and next thing you know, we've kind of overhauled the roster, and brought in a lot of good talent, and got some Division I transfers as well as some good high school players, and we've just gradually gotten better every year. The next year after my first season, we won the conference when we were picked to finish last. The next year, we broke into the top 25 for the first time in program history, and then the next year, I think we got ranked number one in the country for the first time ever. And then since then, we've been ranked number one in the country at some point 6 consecutive seasons. And this is the 7th. And we have not been ranked number one this year. We've been number 2. We're currently number 3. But we have not been ranked number one. So the streak may end this year. But we've had a great program the last couple of years. We're the winningest team in college baseball over the last 6 years in Division II baseball. And we've won our conference championship 5 years in a row. We've hosted a regional 5 years in a row. We've been to the World Series 2 years in a row and won the national championship in 22, which was the first national championship of any kind for our university. So it's been a really fun journey. We've also got a brand new facility that we put an all turf field in. We're doing some other things. We got TrackMan this year. We're putting a building over our batting cages, so we're constantly trying to improve, and we want to be the best Division II baseball program in the country. But not only that, just we want to be a great baseball program, and that kids can come and enjoy and get better and develop and win, and not only just become great baseball players, but great human beings that they can go out and accomplish whatever they want in the world. So I know I was a little long winded, but that's from the beginning to now.
Well, you just gave us a master class on coaching and following the passion and the dreams. And my dad always says it's a God thing, so you can't question when you're in a position that is a little bit beyond kind of your understanding. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, Coach. Thank you very much for that. And also, I don't know if any parents or players are not going into the app right now and selecting North Greenville as a preferred school to start taking a look at, because Coach, I'd want to play for you. Thank you for that. So
Well, I appreciate.
yeah. So there's a lot to get into that. And I think I'd love to have you back in, because this is more about a coach's clinic, a master class. It's also a TED talk on a whole lot of things. So you've kind of run the gamut and provided a lot of information. So with that, you went a different direction, right? You through college, through high school, college, you had a lot of old school kind of coaches. I really liked what you talked about on when you got to the majors and putting that accountability and maybe a little bit more of expectations on these young players, something that you didn't see at the college level that you want to implement to what you're doing now. Elaborate on that a bit as far as what type of players that you are looking for, and kind of what your expectations are, beyond just putting that level of accountability on them.
Well, I think so. The accountability piece, the best way to really think about that is, all right. So a lot of college programs will, I call them cookie cutter, which maybe isn't the most respectful way to say it, but they come up with a formula and they say, okay, all freshmen, be here at this time. You're going to go through these activities. You're going to throw the ball. You're going to warm up at this distance and this many throws, and you're going to move back this many feet, and you're going to run this many sprints. And it's all detailed and mapped out. And I believe that there's definitely some benefit from that, and there are programs out there that have success doing that. One program here in my home state that I pay attention to is Clemson. They're right down the road, and Coach Bakich was a volunteer at Clemson when I played at South Carolina, so I've known him a long time. I have a ton of respect for what he's done in college baseball. He is totally different from me. He is a detail-oriented coach. He maps it out. He is prepared, if not over-prepared, and I respect that. But I'm not that way. I like to give a lot more freedom to the player. I believe that every player is different and cut from a different cloth and have different skills and talents. And I've seen in the game of baseball guys like Aaron Judge, who has tremendous success, and Dustin Pedroia, who has just tons of success. And they are totally different people, different players, different skill sets, different
Right.
sizes. And I love that about baseball. It's a melting pot of all kinds of different people and talents. And so, although the Coach Bakich way can also work, I mean, he's having tremendous success already at Clemson, and after what he did at Michigan, his way works too. It's just not the way I'm wired. And so what I do is more of kind of the pro ball way, where each player needs to kind of be their own coach in some ways. They need to have ownership of their career. They need to have a plan, and I'm here to help you mold that plan. I'm here to help you along the way. So the way to think about that, like in a locker room in professional baseball, you can go in that locker room and you can sit in your locker and stay on your phone, or you can go sit at the table and play cards. And that hitting coach is not going to come tap you on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, let's go hit.
Right.
Hey, it's your turn. Like, we need to go hit. Let's go get your work in." No, if you want to sit there in your locker or sit at that table and play cards, that hitting coach is going to let you do that. And then you just don't get your reps in that day. It's your career. You decide what you want to do. Whereas in college, that would never happen, right? The college coach is going to be, "Hey, get out here, let's go. You're
Right.
supposed to be hitting right now," and you're mandated to do it. So there's something magical in what I figured out. When you're mandated to do something, like that feels like they put their thumb on you. It feels like a chore, and so you're more reluctant to do it. Like if a kid's in high school and his parents are like, "Hey, that trash can is full. Go empty the trash." Oh, I don't want to empty the trash. I have to take the trash out. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, it's a chore, and you just are so reluctant to do it.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, you move out of your parents' house, and you got your own place in college, and you're sitting there in your dorm room or your apartment at college, and your trash can's full. It's amazing. Like, you want to go empty that trash can
Right.
because it's I don't want a full trash can. I want my place to be clean. So you have that ownership of all of a sudden, like, I'm perfectly fine with emptying that trash can. I'm gonna go do it right now. Why is it so different that when I want to do it myself, it's easy task, but because someone else wants me to do it, it becomes like a horrible, annoying task? That mentality works the same in baseball and putting reps in and putting extra work in. When a coach is making you do it and he's putting that thumb on you and he's telling you what to do all the time, it feels like a chore. But then all of a sudden, when a coach is allowing you that freedom, and then, instead of going and tapping on your shoulder in your locker, you sit in the office and wait for that player to come in here and say, "Hey, let's go hit." That's what I'm waiting for. That door opens, that guy says, "Hey, let's go hit." Boom, we're in the cage. Let's go hit. That ownership of that career makes that player want to do it more. And he's invested in it. He's now doing it on his own.
Right.
It means something to him. And to me, that really separates a lot of players in college. I've seen that here in my program. I've had people come here that don't want to put the extra time or the extra work in, and I don't make them. And then their career, they get what they sow, like that it works out. They either, most of the time, they don't have as much success as they could. And then I have other kids that come in here and they love it and they want to work every day, and they have routines and they have plans and things that we've developed together, and those kids flourish and they take off and they have so much success. So I try to think of myself as a college coach. Maybe a lot of college coaches, I think more authoritative, like they're in control. It's my way or the highway. This is how we do it. Those kind of things. And I try to think a little differently. This is my players program, and this is about supporting them and empowering them and giving them whatever they need to be successful. So I think of myself more as a mechanic. I'm here to help you when your car's not running well. You got a flat tire, let's fix it. You got something's not working on your car, take it to the mechanic. But if your car's running great and you're just moving down the road and everything's functioning fine, like, you don't go to the mechanic, right?
Right.
So that's how it works here. I mean, when we have a guy that's hitting great and he's feeling good and he's having great at bats, just do your routines, and there's not much I need to do with you right now. But when all of a sudden you get a flat tire, come see me. So it's more of a supporting role as a coach than an authoritative role.
Yeah.
Is how I try to think about it. I want to come alongside my player and have my arm around them and help them accomplish whatever they want, rather than putting my foot on their butt.
Yeah. And
So
it probably
that's a different.
it probably creates a self monitoring coaching atmosphere as the players, right? When you've got players that have that own responsibility, you kind of look around the room, and if people aren't doing it, they kind of take care of it themselves, right? So there's a little bit more of
100%.
accountability for the players. Absolutely.
It's a separator. It's a separator.
Yeah.
And the players that don't put the extra work and the extra time in, they can't hide. Like,
Yeah.
they get noticed, they get seen. And the players that are working and putting their reps in and being diligent and sticking to their routines, they are also noticed just as much. So it's a separator for sure. And what I have found is that most of the time players don't want to be outcasts, or they don't want to be left behind. And so, because that senior, that All-American, is working his butt off and he's putting all his reps in, everybody else will follow and do the same thing, because they want to be just like him. They want to be as good as him. And so it really, to me, it makes guys work harder and go to the right side of things.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll tell you, this happened from a player I had a couple years ago. He's actually, I think he's up here in this dog pile somewhere. But he transferred here from a big D1 school, from UNC Chapel Hill, and he played there 2 years and had some at bats, and just, he sat behind a first rounder at shortstop, so he didn't have a ton of success. And this is a kid that grew up around college baseball. His dad was a coach. His brother played in the big leagues. Like, he knew the game really well. He comes here and it's his first semester here, and he's sitting in my office. And this is one of those moments in my coaching career that I think about, that it fired me up, and it re-energized me. It filled my tank and made me just want to keep coaching and doing the things I was doing, because it validated the way we were doing things. He told me, I mean, right here where I'm sitting in my desk, I can visualize it. He was sitting right there in the chair across from me. And he said, Coach, he said, when I was sitting at UNC, I'd sit in class and I'd look at the clock and I'd think, I got to go to practice after this. It's like the last thing I want to do right now is go to practice. I just want to go back to my dorm room and play video games, and I just don't want to go to practice. And that was what he felt about the way their practices were run, or about, how cookie cutter, whatever. And I'm not, this is no disrespect on North Carolina. I actually know their coaches really well and think the world of them, and they're great. But this particular kid, his experience was, he felt like practice was not benefiting him, or he didn't enjoy it, or whatever, for whatever reason.
Right.
So he would tell me, I sit in class, I look at that clock, and it's just, oh, I got to go to practice, and he dreaded it. He says, now, Coach, I'm at North Greenville, and he goes, I don't know what it is, but I sit in class, and I look at my phone and the time, and he goes, and I'm so excited to go to the field. I can't wait for class to get over because I can't wait to get to the baseball field. And when he told me that, like, I get chills now thinking about it. But at the moment, it made me tear up. It was like, dude, that is exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like, if you're excited to go to that field every day, you want to get there, think how much more time and effort you're going to put in. How much more you're going to work at it when you want to be there. Whereas if you're reluctant to go and it feels like a chore going to practice, you're not going to put the same energy and time and effort into it. So that is a big piece of it. Is the environment has to be really good. The players have to feel happy and comfortable, and they have to want to be at the field. And the more they want to be at the field, the more work they're going to put in, the more reps they're going to do, the better they're going to get, the more they're going to get out of their talent. And so that's a big piece of it as well.
Coach, could you imagine if you would have gone to be an insurance salesperson? You would have felt just like that player.
You're right. That's probably why I didn't choose it. I don't think that I couldn't wear a suit and ride around, knock on doors all day. That probably wouldn't be my thing.
You know what I hear is the game of life, and you're really implementing a lot of things that are instrumental on making people a better in their entire life, no matter if it's baseball, if it's a career, if it's what they're doing, if there's family, whatever it might be. And I think that personal responsibility, taking ownership of your own life and your own direction, means everything, right? You're gonna have some kids that aren't gonna live up to that. So really, what you've done is you've laid out basically what you're looking for. I mean, these are self-driven players, a little bit different than the ones that need to fall into line and you've said it, cookie cutter. I don't take that offensive either. It is what it is. It's just different. What it really goes to, Coach, and what I hear all the time from coaches is finding that right fit. And it's not just about the academics. It's not about the location. It's also about that philosophy. That's why I really enjoy listening to coaches, because you can have national championship winning coaches do things basically opposite of one another, and that doesn't make one better than the other. It just makes it's finding the right players to fit the program that you have. And Coach, that you've done a nice job of explaining that. So you love to talk. I love it. I could sit and listen to you a long time. We're running up against the clock, but talk about you've really done it, right? North Greenville private Christian school, beautiful location, Division II. Campus life, is it all on campus, or a majority of on campus kind of college life? I mean, what are some of the things that some players that might be thinking about it would stand out as far as making the program and the university unique?
Well, first off, it's a great university. It's a private Christian university here in the South. It's not a huge school, but it's also not tiny. I mean, our enrollment's 2,500 or something like that. So it's about the same size as a Furman or a Wofford. It's a little bigger than PC.
Yeah.
So it's a nice private Christian university. Good education. We have a lot of wide range of majors here, and it's a solid education. It is. For a player, and it's also a cheaper private school comparative to a lot of the other, Furman here next door is $70,000 a year to go to school, and I think Wofford's like 60, and so North Greenville's much more expensive. I mean, inexpensive and affordable than some of the other private schools. But great university, baseball program. It's an opportunity to we have a great coaching staff. Not only myself played in the big leagues, but Eddie Taubensee, who played in the big leagues for 11 or 12 years. Yep. Eddie's one of my assistant coaches here. Trey Dyson, who played professionally for several years. We have a great coaching staff. So I think the development piece is good here. We have a great facility. The opportunity to win. Like I said, we're the winningest program in the country over the last 6 years or 5 years. I think even 4, stuff like that. So we have had a lot of success. We've hosted those regionals 5 years in a row. So you kind of know that if you come here, you have a chance to play in the postseason. So we feel like we're one of the top-notch Division II programs, and we feel like we're on par with a lot of the Division I programs around the country, as far as facility, coaching staff, success, getting guys to professional baseball. We've had 22 players go to professional baseball in the last 7 years.
Wow.
So we're getting a lot of guys to pro ball. So this is a place we think you can develop, you can get better, you can win and have success, you can have fun and enjoy your college opportunity, but also you could, possibly launch to the next level of baseball. You can live off the housing here. You asked about that. They live on campus. So most of the guys live on campus. There's probably 15 or so that live off campus. There are ways to live off campus as well, but I think it's a great university. Greenville is a top-notch town. I don't know if you've been to Greenville, South Carolina before, but it's a phenomenal place. I love living here. I've lived all over the country. When I was playing professional baseball, I was very fortunate to travel and see the world. But Greenville is a place that is one of my favorite places to be. So there's so many good things and positives here that I think it's a great opportunity for any kid that's looking to play college baseball and wants to have a great experience.
No, it's also got a minor league team. It's a great little city right there in the hills. It's pretty amazing there. Coach, it's been a real honor having you on. It's been fun. You know what? And I guess my last comment to you is you're one of 20,000 people that played at the majors. So, don't sell yourself short. I love talking. I love talking to former ball players. They're like, I wasn't this. It's like, come on. You know what? This is you met the dream. You met what so many little kids are excited and love the game for. And I really appreciate you giving back, coming back to. Thank God you didn't go sell insurance. I'd rather have you as coaching these young men than selling me a policy. So thank you on that, guys. Make sure that you again subscribe. Coach Landon Powell is in the book, the Baseball Bluebook app. All of his contact information is there. Certainly, there's other social media platforms that you can look up Landon Powell. Last thing, I always forget. What do you guys, as far as coming and visiting, interested in doing this? Are you one that you guys hit the road, high school programs, showcases? Do you have college camps? How do they kind of get seen by you? What's the best way?
Well, the best way is probably sending an email to me, but make sure it has video and stuff attached. That usually helps a lot because I do get a ton of emails every day, but I check my email all the time. I get probably hundreds a day, but if you send an email with some video, that at least gets you in front of me or our coaching staff. We do have camps. We'll do one in the summer, and we do another prospect camp in the fall. So those are ways to get seen and come visit our campus and see what we're about, face to face. And then we go out not as much during high school season because we're playing.
Right.
It's hard for us to get. We go to local games around the Greenville area, but it's hard for us to kind of go to any other high school games. But during the summer, we're actively recruiting, different showcases, tournaments, whatever. So,
great.
But yeah, those would be the ways. That's pretty general with any college baseball. The things I just said. That's if you want to get seen by any coaches out there. Send an email and attach video and a couple references so that the coaches can really check in. And
Perfect. Well, Coach, thank you very much for joining the Are You in the Book podcast. Appreciate you and everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, don't go anywhere.